Our next speaker brings a distinctive approach to culture. Michael O'Leary is the Group CEO of Ryanair and previously served as CEO of the airline. He transformed a struggling airline through a low-cost model. Today, it is Europe's largest and one of the most profitable airlines. His approach, a relentless focus on cost and execution. The result, a culture of extreme efficiency and an airline that has made travel affordable for millions. Daniel Balthazar, Co-Chief Investment Officer of Active Strategies, will explore how he did this. Please welcome Michael and Daniel.
Daniel, good morning.
Morning. Michael, warm welcome to our conference.
Thank you very much. Great pleasure to be here.
We met in this office a couple of years ago for an investor meeting.
We did.
After that, I received a letter from you thanking me for the meeting, which made me feel really, really special. Never happened to me in my 25 years of doing this. What does that tell me about you and Ryanair?
Well, firstly, it tells me you didn't buy enough of our stock after that meeting, which is why I had to do the follow-up letter to encourage you to buy more.
We have a cost focus as well. We like to buy low.
Oh, there's never been a better opportunity. Stock is down about 25%. Just don't tell anybody because we're buying it as fast as we can at the moment, and I don't want to be competing with anybody else in the room.
Very good. So if the culture is set at the top, how does that translate into how 25,000 people behave every single day?
I get very nervous at these culture smulcher meetings, I am skeptical when we do all the cultural stuff. I respect David, but I don't want to be running a company that survives 300 years and for 55 generations. We want to make money for the next 5, 10 years. And if we do that, there's a reasonable prospect we'll survive 15, 20 years. But ultimately, somebody's going to come along and reinvent the wheel. I don't think Nokia failed, by the way, because the management were arrogant or there was a culture of fear in Nokia. Nokia failed because fundamentally the iPhone came along and totally transformed the technology. And that bedevils all of us. What keeps me awake at night? Star Trek. Because it doesn't matter how bloody cheap my fares are going to be. And when it comes to flying in Europe, no one's going to beat Ryanair on price ever. But somebody sometime is going to invent some way of beaming people across Europe. Although the European Commission will probably find some way to tax it for some bullshit environmental cause, But ultimately, we will get the technology or some sort of transformative technology will come along. And it doesn't matter how good our culture was or how good our cost base was, we're going to get blown out of the water. Until that time comes, our culture is, we do not, and I kind of shout and rant and rave at everybody, we're not interested in explaining our culture. Our culture is we want to deliver the lowest fare, most on-time flights, and we'll do it by having the lowest costs, bar nobody in the industry. And we will keep transforming our cost base. We lead the airline industry across the world. We were the first people to get rid of travel agents. When the internet came along, because we've been paying 20% for distribution for 15 years in an industry that had a 1% margin. Why the hell were you paying 20% to mom and pop travel agents? Internet came along, we were out the door, banned the travel agents, and we're gone. We were the first people 15 years ago to charge for bags. And as you know, as it says in the good Bible, Moses came down from the mountaintop, and the fourth commandment is, thou shalt be entitled to bring free bags on board aircraft forevermore. But by charging for bags, we went from 80% of passengers on our flights bringing a bag on a stage duration of 2.5 days to 20% of passengers today now bring a bag, which means not alone have we gotten rid of huge amounts of labour at our airports. And again, I slightly disagree with David. I want to treat people well, but ultimately I want to get rid of as many people as I can within the business. And the ones who remain, I'll treat well. Pilots, for example, are egregiously expensive employees. By law, they can't fly more than 800 hours a year, which is 18 hours a week, which I think is ridiculously fucking unproductive. And for that, I pay them about $250,000 each. But technology will in time come along. If the US military can fly drones or fly aircraft across, pilots will ultimately get competed out of the system. I want to treat my pilots very well. I want to treat my cabin crew very well. But at the back, I also want to find some way of finding a technology that will replace them all. And then the cost of flying across Europe, even with the EU's bullshit environmental taxes and ridiculous regulation, will become even cheaper than it ever has before. So our focus and our culture is all about make it cheap, make it on time. After that, go away, you're not getting anything else. And then be viciously, obsessively focused on how do we make it cheaper, cheaper, cheaper by constantly reinventing the system and fundamentally changing customer behavior. Charging for bags was one of the greatest initiatives we've ever come up with. Not because, and everybody's obsessed with, we just want the money. I would happily give away the money ultimately to shareholders, but give away the money if I can get rid of the last 20% of bags. I would have no check-in staff, I'd have no baggage handling staff, I'd have no lost baggage staff. The aircraft fly about 3% lighter, which reduces my fuel consumption. My fuel bill is about 5 billion a year. So the hidden benefits of getting rid of checked-in bloody bags is that we're consuming less fuel, and with jet oil today at about $157 a barrel, anything I can do to get out those kind of costs, we will do. And that's why we are the most profitable airline in the world. We are certainly the biggest international airline in the world. And yet we plan to grow in size from 200 million passengers last year to 300 million passengers in the next 8 years by taking delivery of 300 new aircraft, which from Boeing, the MAX 10 aircraft, which are 20% bigger in terms of seats, but they burn 20% less fuel per seat. I am going to transform my economics for the next 10 years with this new technology. And they'll be flown by the same 2 pilots, the same 4 or 5 cabin crew, which should make us hugely lower cost, widen the price advantage I have over every other airline in Europe, and I'm going to blow them all up and own the industry until somebody in a back bedroom somewhere invents some way of beaming people across Europe, and then I'm screwed.
Excellent. You operate in a hyper-competitive industry. Are you a competitive person?
Industry, hyper-competitive.
Is it
Europe? No, they're all useless. Government-owned, heavily regulated, hugely government subsidized. All the legacies are running around at the moment trying to get bailouts. God bless the Republicans in the United States. They're now about to bail out 2 of the most bankrupt airlines, Spirit and JetBlue, who should have been allowed to go to the wall many years ago. So no, it's not a hyper-competitive industry. It's a very badly regulated industry. It is government-owned, which is why it is inefficient, hugely expensive and inefficient in Europe. So all I have to be is modestly competitive to be better than the rest of the competition in Europe, and that's not setting the bar very high.
Amazing. Most people, though, most employees, they don't like an over focus on cost. How do you keep them motivated?
Fear, terror, stalking the corridors late at night. We don't. I mean, the great thing about Ryanair is we've been doing it this way for 30 years. So, we hire about 50 graduates every year. We hire people who want to work hard. We try to set an example. It is a very slim kind of man. There is only 3 layers of management between somebody on the front line and me. Therefore we keep it very flat. But the advantage we have is we're a single, we're a one goof kind of operation. It's only an airline. All we have to sell is a seat. So we don't need complexity. We avoid M&A. We don't get involved in, buying hotels or buying airports or buying whatever else it is. We buy aircraft, hopefully at times of distress when Boeing or Airbus needs orders. And then all we do is sell seats all day long. Mm-hmm. So we don't need a lot of complicated management. But we are very good, because I think we have a very flat management structure, we're very good at pouncing on new initiatives as they come along. And the great strength of Ryanair is we're not very much beloved. We finished last in almost every passenger survey. We have never won. There's an award in Ireland for the Irish Travel Agents Association, which there's only 2 airlines in Ireland. Aer Lingus have won those awards, which is the ex-state airline. Aer Lingus have won the Travel Agents Airline of the Year award for 30 years in a row. I've promised that I will quit if we ever win that award. The advantage of this, the advantage of not being overly sensitive about my reputation or our image or being culturally popular is we're ruthlessly low cost, and that gives us huge freedom to chase those kind of cost-saving measures or to reinvent the way we drive the airlines. And then ultimately all the other morons will follow us along. I mean, the American airlines have just discovered charging for bags 15, 20 years after we started doing it. Now, they're trying to make it, do it as a way of gaining revenue, whereas we did it not as a way of generating revenue, but as a way of eliminating costs.
It's fascinating because most of the CEOs we talk to, they talk about more customer centricity, keep the customer happy, put the customer in the center of everything. Yet you're doing the opposite, but win.
But that's because we have an enormous price advantage over everybody else. Customers ultimately in every survey, I wish they were nicer, I want a refund of a non-refund. What part of no refund don't you understand? I don't care if your granny died or your cat was ill and you couldn't travel on the day. It was a non-refundable fare. Now, I want you to fly because I can sell you about €6 of ancillary revenues on board my aircraft. But I'm 216 million. And we appear occasionally, it happens even to us, we occasionally mismanage situations. We get a huge amount of adverse publicity. And what I notice every time we get a lot of adverse publicity is bookings go up. Elon Musk, who I have never met, never had any interaction with him. We had this issue, we were trying to put Wi-Fi on board our aircraft at the start of the year. I think free Wi-Fi on board aircraft is coming. The problem at the moment is the technology doesn't yet exist. We have to put a couple of dimples on the outside of the aircraft. It would be about a 2% fuel drag. My fuel bill is $5 billion a year. 2% fuel drag is something of the order of about 100 million. And I'm not paying 100 million to put free Wi-Fi on board for my passengers. Starlink, which is a terrific technology, I have no issue with the Starlink technology. Starlink believe passengers will pay you €1, €2, and it'll pay for itself. Clearly, they've never met any Ryanair passengers. Because by the time we've gone up and down the cabin selling them teas, coffees, scratch cards and anything else we can kind of think to sell them, we don't have time to be running up and down taking €1 transactions. So I happen to say, look, Starlink is great, but the system doesn't work. We're not taking a fuel penalty of 100 million a year because that would be 50 cents on every ticket. And someone told Elon Musk that I'd slagged off Starlink, so he popped up something on his internet feed going, who is this wanker in Ryanair? Who's this Ryanair gobshite? He's clearly an idiot, he knows nothing about flying. So I popped back, who is this idiot in Twitter, running that cesspit that is Twitter, having a pop off me? I'm correct. It does have a fuel drag. He says it doesn't have a fuel drag. And then he says, I know nothing about avionics, which is probably true. I know very little about avionics. But he knows nothing about flying low-cost airlines either. He then ran a poll on his Twitter X. I don't have a Twitter site, by the way. Thankfully, I have better things to do in my life. But he ran a poll at his 1.5 million. Should I buy Ryanair? We politely pointed out, you're American, therefore you can't buy Ryanair. We're European and you have to be more than 50% EU owned. And next thing, it fucking exploded. During the second week of January, which is one of the quietest weeks for bookings in Europe. And my bookings just fucking took off. Next thing, we're running around. How do we manufacture? So we ran a big idiot seat sale. We got AI to come up with some ads of me smacking him over the head with some, and him choking me, And we manufactured about $30 million of free publicity. I was holding a press conference in Dublin back in January to do my kind of usual. This summer we'll do 25 new routes. They took the press conference live on Sky, CNBC, went live to this idiot in Dublin talking, desperately trying to make some news about how Elon Musk is wrong. And we got about 30 million free publicity out of it. And bookings for about 6 weeks went up by about 3 percentage points.
Did you send him a thank you letter?
Pardon me?
Did you send Elon Musk a thank you
No,
letter?
actually, we sent him a free voucher for a free Ryanair flight round to the Twitter, the Twitter offices in Dublin. And got a photograph of me handing in the free Ryanair voucher. He hasn't claimed it yet, but I hope he will at some point in time in the not too distant future. So one of the other things we do is we will jump on any bit of cheap publicity we can, because cheap publicity in our business, where you have such a price advantage, drives enormous sales and enormous bookings. And so as long as it doesn't revolve around safety, and I remember Trump getting elected the first time, said if he'd murdered somebody on Fifth Avenue, that he'd still get elected. And we were thinking, well, maybe if we murdered somebody on Fifth Avenue, would it drive bookings up on Ryanair? We thought, no, that was probably pushing the envelope a little bit too far. But other than that, if it doesn't involve safety, we're up for any bit of cheap publicity we can get.
Okay, so to summarize, a cost focus, free marketing, and an incredible sense of humor definitely created a winning culture. Thank you very much, Michael. Please join me with a huge round of applause.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.